years ago today in the town of Medina, and North Dakotans who were around then haven't forgotten it.
A tax-resistant group and law enforcement faced off in a deadly shootout. Erica Craven has the details and reaction from then and now.
4 decades later, the crime that left 2 members of law enforcement dead and 3 others wounded is still felt in Medina and the rest of North Dakota.
Many people in Medina don't want to talk about what happened in their town.
And when people find out you're from Medina, they constantly bring up, well, did you know Gordon Call? You know, because they think Gordon Call was from Medina. He was actually from Heaton.
The fateful day started at the Medina clinic where law enforcement saw Gordon Call's car parked.
There are conflicting reports about what happened in Medina that Sunday.
Law enforcement wanted anti-federal government farmer and tax evader Gordon Call on a probation violation. They set up a roadblock north of Medina and stopped Gordon, his son Yori, wife Joan, Scott Fall, and 2 other men.
As law enforcement tried to arrest Gordon, he took cover behind a car. Yori took cover behind a telephone pole, and Scott Fall took cover behind a grove of trees as gunfire erupted in the area.
U.S. Marshal Ken Muir and Deputy Marshal Robert Cheshire were shot dead.
Shot him right through the hand. He's putting it like this. Terrible, terrible. When he shot him in cold blood, then he took off.
Gordon eluded law enforcement. The 2 men and Scott Fall later turned themselves in. Yori was taken to the hospital and arrested along with Joan, and Joan pleaded for Gordon to turn himself in.
I can't take any more.
The memories of the next few days and weeks are vivid for those in Medina.
So I was just in 8th grade or something, you know. So when they moved the vehicles from the cheese plant hill, we snuck up there during lunch hour during school to see if we could see anything.
Reporters and photographers like KFYR's Dwayne Walker jumped into action.
Got a call early in the morning from the news director that I needed to run up to Gordon Call's farmhouse.
Everyone was searching for Gordon Call.
You're really in the preliminary stages of a massive manhunt.
First, there was a raid on the Call's farmhouse.
I heard a dog barking, and later on I heard some shots. Never heard the dog barking anymore.
Call wasn't there, but agents found 5,000 rounds of ammunition and white supremacist materials. The search continued around the state. Walker says his team worked through tear gas, cold weather, dead car batteries, and potentially dangerous situations to get the information to the public.
So I'm right up there with the people with the rifles.
What were you feeling?
Nothing. I just felt like I was covering a story. I wasn't afraid of anything.
He said while the station was used to covering dangerous weather events, the shootout was unusual.
That just doesn't happen. People using guns for going out to hunt, not shoot people.
It's been over 5 full days now since gunfire shattered the early evening quiet in the small central North Dakota community of Medina.
Then KFYR news director Dick Height headed to Jamestown for FBI briefings. But he remembers working mostly off tips from the public because the FBI didn't want the media to reveal its movements to Gordon.
It was all a matter of digging into the story almost like a detective.
He says KFYR didn't broadcast police movements. Bob Weefald, the North Dakota Attorney General at the time, says he won't forget the crimes.
Do you remember what you were feeling throughout this time?
My feeling was one of rage.
In small-town North Dakota, the impact was personal.
And it was one of those things that should never have happened.
Weefald says law enforcement did the best they could with what they had at the time. On June 3rd, 1983, law enforcement located Gordon at an Arkansas farmhouse. Gordon shot and killed a sheriff, and Gordon was shot and the building caught fire. His remains were identified by dental records. In Medina, Erica Craven reporting for your News Leader.
Yori Call and Scott Fall are serving life in prison. A parole board denied Call parole last year and also denied Fall parole this month.